6 quarter-pound patties, a pound and a half of meat after nothing for 5 years. All right, so welcome to my lovely studio. Before I get to that exact moment that I talked about in the thumbnail, that red pill moment, I'm gonna back it up just a tad bit and give you a brief history of how I went vegan. Very, very brief, very condensed version. So I went vegan in December 14th, 2016, and my last day vegan, whatever, is March 13th, 2022. So just over 5 years. I went vegan after a friend from high school. He was very fit. Been vegan for a few years, sports, full of energy, the whole shebang. And we talked a lot and he convinced me basically. And then about a year later, I decided to actually follow through with it and go vegan. I ate basically the perfect vegan diet, like 90+% there, like whole food, plant-based. I followed all the vegan doctors, Michael Greger, Garth Davis, McDougall, Furman, all those guys. And I love nutrition. Half of my major, that's a different story, in college was nutrition. I loved the subject. I thought I was doing everything in my power to eat the healthiest vegan diet possible, basically. And yeah, initially I felt great. I was like more full of energy. Looking back, it was likely just due to eliminating certain foods that were fairly toxic. You know, a lot of junk food, not all, but a good bit of junk food is not vegan. And yeah, so then everything was smooth sailing. I was very much committed. I mean, committed enough to get a vegan tattoo in about early 2020? Yeah, mid 2020, somewhere around there. Yeah, I even started a vegan club at my university, Northern Arizona University. The club, I guess I should say, is called, it still exists, Green Collective Community. I haven't been in school for a few years now. So yeah, I didn't really start experiencing any problems with my vegan diet until about 4.5 years in, somewhere around there. Main problems were just like, I mean, there's a lot, right? But I'm gonna give you the condensed version. For the first 3 years of being vegan, of the total 5, 2.5, 3 years, I was distance runner mentality. I was running cross country and track in community college. Right now I weigh about 174. At the time I weighed on a heavy day, 155. But I wasn't lean, very much like skinny fat. My legs were always a little bit chunkier. And so I'm trying to lift more, right? I'm going to the gym. At this point in 2020, I was actually getting a pretty good understanding of how to train for specific goals. And I was getting stronger, and I realized like I need to eat more, and I need to eat more protein, which whether you like it or not, protein is essential. Struggling with getting enough calories, struggling with getting enough protein. I was slamming the protein powder, eating about a block of tofu a day, doing everything I could. In a really, really good day would be 100 grams of protein. Today, I easily get 180 without even trying, without even thinking about it. And so I'm struggling to get enough food. As we know, vegan food, you know, plant food tends to be lighter in caloric density. So in order for me to get enough food, I need to eat a large volume of food, which takes up large volume of my stomach, which makes me bloated, which makes me tired. My digestive system is just grinding and grinding to try to digest all this plant fiber. It was very, very normal towards the end of my vegan journey to wake up around 6, head to the gym around 7, lift for hour and a half, come home, consume 1,200 give or take calories, and it would knock me out. I would eat that, and all I could think, this is like, it's like 10 o'clock in the morning at this point. All I could think about is going to take at least an hour and a half nap. Like, I mean, that was just a simple sign. Other things, brain fog. So I was working construction at the time, and every single day while working, it was as if my brain was literally cold. That's a decent way to describe it. I was not there mentally. My brain felt cold in the same way that most things that are cold tend to move slowly. Like when your body's really like physically cold, it's harder to exert and to express movement. That's how my brain felt. It was just cold, slow, not super reactive. I was definitely, in my opinion, heading towards the direction of like actually going to see a doctor and figuring out what was wrong. Odds are they wouldn't know what was wrong, just the reality. Now this is where it leads into that red pill moment. This is exactly the point where I went from, again, believing the vegan diet was the way forward, even though I was feeling like crap. It must have been something that I was doing wrong with the vegan diet. Was I not supplementing enough? Which, by the way, I was supplementing. Was I not eating even more protein powder? Was I not getting enough electrolytes? I tried electrolytes. I tried adding salts and other electrolyte mixes, and that helped a little bit. I tried lots of caffeine. I just thought it was something wrong with what I was doing, and it was very, very frustrating. And this moment marked the moment for me believing that the vegan diet was the one and only thing that I should be doing, after this moment began the slightest bit of doubt of that belief system. This is where everything began shifting. So here's what happened. I'm sure a lot of you guys are familiar with Ben Patrick, knees over toes guy. And at the time, I struggle to remember exactly when, sometime in 2020, I believe, he put out an article titled My Current Diet. And I opened up this article fully expecting to see beans, salads, lots of oatmeal and whole grains, brown rice, greens, fruits, nuts and seeds, that whole stuff. I open it up and see basically the complete opposite of that. So his breakfast was some kind of animal protein, I believe it was steak and eggs or just coffee. Lunch was either a whole rotisserie chicken or steak and eggs. And then dinner was another large serving of an animal protein and then fruit for dessert. So the only plant material in this, if you count the coffee, I guess that's one, and then fruit for dessert. Everything else was loaded with what I believe at the time was the most carcinogenic, heart disease causing, diabetes causing, worst foods on the planet that I had been avoiding for ethical reasons as well. But I had been avoiding for health reasons for 4 years at the time. And my whole brain just slightly exploded. I was following a lot of his training philosophies at the time, and I know he's a genius when it comes to training, when it comes to rehabilitating knees. He's an expert in that. And what first came to mind was, okay, this guy is just an idiot with nutrition. He might know knees, he might know the body, but he knows nothing about nutrition. And I remember I immediately after reading that article and having my mind kind of fried for a sec, I went to YouTube and I watched the clip of, I forget his name. His Instagram handle's Lightning Wilkes. I'll put it on the screen. Debunking the myth that animal protein is better on Joe Rogan. I needed validation. I was like, okay, there's no way. Ben Patrick has to be wrong. He has to be wrong. I watched this. The video is convincing enough, and I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm fine. I'm doing the right thing. I still feel like shit, but I'm doing the right thing. That was the moment. My brain couldn't ignore that someone that intelligent could be doing something that in my mind at the time was so backwards, was so stupid. My brain just couldn't comprehend that, but it also couldn't forget that. Like, I have so much respect for Ben Patrick. I couldn't just ignore that a guy that was so smart is doing something that I believe was so backwards. So that was the moment where everything changed. From then, I don't know if it was the YouTube algorithms or the Instagram algorithms, I start getting recommended people like Sean Baker, Paul Saladino, Anthony Chafee. I remember he had a video that pissed me off as well. Again, this is all me being ignorant, basically. Ignorant to think that I knew everything about nutrition, because that's what I was taught in school, and that's what I learned online from these vegan doctors, that I believed I knew basically everything there was to know. Sure, there was little nuances here and there, like spinach or arugula, walnuts or almonds, right? But I thought I knew basically everything there was to know. And you had Anthony Chafee come on to a YouTube short, and he's like, what if I told you cholesterol isn't the cause of heart disease? What if I told you high-fat diets don't cause diabetes? What if I told you all these, just listing off things that were triggering me, basically? And I was just like, I wasn't mad, but I was so confused and in so much denial, right? So, where do things go from here? So, like I said earlier, March 13th was the last day that I was vegan. Basically, all these videos, information coming in are piling up and piling up and piling up. Sean Baker, I think, being one of the best examples. Someone who's in his 50s, eating exclusively the food that the mainstream says is the worst food on the planet. Red meat is bad for the planet, allegedly. Red meat is horrible for your heart, your arteries, everything. And he is thriving. He has a world-class physique, in my opinion. World-class physique, world-class athleticism, well-spoken, intelligent. Some of these vegan doctors, they don't seem to be fully functioning in the head. And I know that's just an anecdote and a small little snippet of an observation. But Sean Baker, just simply anyone watching this who's maybe still vegan or just curious about this stuff, it's like, explain to me how the food that is allegedly so bad for you, the worst food on the planet, seriously. Like, you look at the White House put out something of the nutritional score of food. Ground beef was dead last. It was worse allegedly than Lucky Charms, Cheerios, canned peaches, which is full of added sugars, a bunch of other things on the list. Explain to me how. How can someone be so healthy? And you might argue, oh, well, you might look healthy on the outside, but that doesn't reflect what's on the inside. Think about that. Think about that statement. Does that make sense? Someone can be unhealthy appearing on the outside and healthy on the inside, and vice versa. Someone could be very healthy, strong, muscular, lean on the outside and very unhealthy on the inside. I'll agree with you with bodybuilders. Bodybuilders can have paper thin skin. Doesn't mean they're healthy on the inside. But this guy is not taking steroids, Sean Baker. He's a natural athlete. You can look at his physique and be like, yeah, that's naturally attainable. He's been training for many, many decades. This was that adding to that red pill moment of like, holy shit, was I really wrong about everything? And I felt horrible because I was like, my whole family had gone vegan. They're still vegan as far as I know. Close friend had gone vegan. He's not anymore. People saw me as like the authority on nutrition. And it was like a somewhat dark time in my life, just like thinking how wrong I was and how many people I may have negatively affected by that. And that's partially why I'm making this video, because I feel horrible sometimes thinking back on it. I'm kind of a little over it now, but at the time it was bad. And I'll go back to the March 13th. All these thoughts are piling up. I'm like, okay, maybe I won't be vegan for the rest of my life. Okay, maybe I'll actually quit sooner rather than later. Piling up. I'm thinking, okay, what are my friends gonna think? What's my family gonna think? All these things. And coincidentally, sometime in mid-March, there was an event in Texas I was going to, Austin, Texas, for Athletic Truth Group, which is the company Ben Patrick started along with Keegan Smith. And I was going to that, and I knew everyone there was like heavy meat eaters. And I knew I'd be fine. I actually already told the event coordinator, like, I'm vegan, blah, blah, blah. Like, can you make sure there's XYZ there for me? And he's like, yeah, no problem. And I'm texting him, close friend of mine now, actually, Max. And I'm telling him, like, yo, dude, like, I don't know if I'm gonna keep being vegan. And he's telling me about his story through being a predominantly plant-based diet eater to now very much animal. He's actually carnivore right now, which is crazy. Yeah, I just decide, like, this is it. This trip is when I'm changing. There's no going back. There's no better time to. I'll have a whole week and a half away from everyone that I know previously to just transition and then come back with a new mentality. So I'm driving, a couple hours in, I'm in a town pacing, and there's a gas station there, and I stop by. I need to get gas anyway. So I stop by, I go into the store, and I'm looking around, and I see this Fairlife chocolate milk, and 42 grams of protein. It's some kind of like ultra filtered milk. I don't know how they make it. And it looks amazing. I'm pretty thirsty. I love chocolate milk. I would love something cold. Yeah, I was super nervous about buying it, as if I was like trying to buy alcohol or something, being I wasn't under 21, but if I was under 21. So I buy it. I get in the car, take a sip. I have like an immediate light gag reflex. I'm like, holy shit. Like, I haven't had, cow milk in my mouth in 5+ years. This is crazy. Then I'm fine. And then I chug the whole thing and I feel great. And then the rest of the drive, I'm just like losing my mind. I'm like, holy shit. This is happening. I did it. Like, what's going to happen? Am I going to like shit out my organs in a couple minutes? Because I haven't had, whey and casein and lactose and all these things in my body in so many years. And I was fine. Nothing happened. There was that initial gag, and then I was fine. Then I went to a McDonald's, bought 2 double cheeseburgers, slammed them both in the car before I even started the car. They're so good. I know those aren't healthy at all. And calorically, they're probably less than half of it is meat anyway, but they were so good, right? And then I get to the rest stop where I'm spending the night, and there was a Dairy Queen there. I get 6 quarter-pound patties, so 1.5 pounds of beef, and then I covered it in honey mustard, which turned out to basically be pure soybean oil, whatever, and salt, and it was delicious. 1.5 pounds of meat after nothing for 5 years, and I didn't feel any negative or positive effects yet. Mostly I was just mind blown at what I had decided to do, in a good way. And I'm audio messaging my friend Max. I'm just like, oh my God, I did it. And he's like, how do you feel? And I'm just like ranting, like, this is crazy. I still can't believe it happens, blah, 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 it happened. And I'm gonna end the video with this, just what happened the next day, because everything that's happened from there since now is a totally different topic, totally different story. I woke up probably feeling better than I have felt upon waking up in many years. My brain was just silent and at peace. Every other morning I'd wake up still tired with, brain fog, not wanting to really do anything. And I'd push myself to, like, I need to make money. I need to do something with my life. I woke up, it was like there was like I said earlier, it's like my brain before was cold. Now it was just brain temperature. I don't know how to describe it. It was almost magical. Seriously. It's like not an exaggeration. And I know plenty of ex-vegans say similar stories that they best night of sleep of their life and their brain was like on hyperspeed now. It wasn't that it was on hyperspeed for me. It was just like, it could think clearly. It was as if my whole life had been like a scattered desk full of papers, and now it was like 3-4 stacks of papers. I'm looking at it and it's like I can look at this at peace. I'm not scrambling. I'm not frying my brain. yeah, it was incredible. So that's my story. If you can relate at all or have any questions about anything regarding anything that I talked about, leave a comment. Would love to hear from whoever's watching this. Let me know what you think about the thumbnail. Messing around with it. Thought it was pretty cool. Yeah, that's my story. Now it's been, 7-8 months, whatever it is, since March 13th. I feel great. Yeah, I'm not going back. Never. Yeah, thanks for watching.